Hello, and welcome to the Faculty Development Podcast for Dalhousie Medicine, New Brunswick. I'm your host today, Sarah Gander. I'm a pediatrician here in St. John, but I actually am the host today, but also sort of the guest, or the host and the guest, or I don't know, can you mash those two words? The hest, the ghost. No, that doesn't work. But with me today is Alexandra, who's from DMNB, and we're going to kind of do a back and forth.
Yeah, I'm like your fake host today.
Yeah.
I've been
host.
Host. That works much better than ghost. There's ghost and host. Yeah, Sarah asked me to come in today to sort of help introduce the podcast, where it came from, its origin story.
Yeah, this might be I think that this will be our first podcast. So if you're listening, then maybe you've gone back to this to try to figure out what the heck we were thinking. Or maybe you've started with this to be like, what is this new fabulous phenomenon I've happened upon? But Alex is going to help us today kind of just describe, like, why did we think this was a good idea?
Yeah, so I mean, guess starting with like the most obvious first question right out of the gate is, why a podcast?
Why not a podcast? Podcasts are awesome. So if you're listening to this, if this is your very first podcast, then welcome. And we will then forever call this your gateway podcast, because once you start, good luck stopping listening to podcasts.
Oh, yes.
But I think for a faculty development podcast, why did we think this was a good idea? Because I personally had a really hard time attending faculty development sessions. I would see these like beautiful, well-planned, well-organized, thoughtful topics that I would love to attend locally or not locally, not too far, in New Brunswick, in Nova Scotia, and just I'm a mom of 2 kids and thought, this is not the season of life to do anything from 5 to 7 in the evening. And realize that wouldn't I love to consume some of this information in a way that I'm consuming a lot of other information in my life, which is in an audio way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's more accessible. You get to decide when it fits into your life as opposed to media deciding when it should be in your life. That scheduled kind of approach.
Yeah, well, and I kind of thought, who doesn't need another reason to exercise? Why not get CME credits for listening for your podcast? But we'll get to that business later. But hey, the multitaskers of the world says hey, let's do this.
Absolutely. So going forward, what kind of information should faculty expect to hear on the podcast?
Well, I'm hoping that we allow you to have some information that you would have otherwise been able to have access to if you had attended a session. So factual, evidence-based information around medical education, but in a way that's easy to listen to and might even touch on topics that we would never, ever have a full session about, but just airing of the grievances, if you will, let's just chat about that little thing that gets under my skin or that I love. So I think everything's on the table for what we could talk about in this podcast.
Very cool. I love that. It's kind of not quite anything goes, but...
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. Part of that is probably how much we can behave or not behave on what we talk about. We'll put some feelers out for if people think we're too tame or want to delve into some of the topics that are the unspeakables. One of the things we talked about was, does everybody always love teaching? So is it okay to talk about when we don't love teaching or when teaching's really hard or, dare I say, annoying at times? And so, that might not be the prettiest part about our jobs as faculty, but it's still there. And so why not talk about it or laugh about it or whatever?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's real, right? It's more interesting for listeners, I'm assuming, to hear about how you actually feel about something as opposed to a scripted, I love teaching.
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, well, I think one of my big ones, and this might resonate with people out there, is the fact that we've been told time and time again that learners don't have to kind of complicate our clinic lives, that they don't actually slow us down. And that's a topic in and of itself, because learning how to fit a learner into your day is a skill and a talent and requires practice and deliberate conscious thought. And but sometimes you just want to gripe about the fact that like sometimes you just need to see your patients and do it by yourself or whatever. So hopefully this is an open ground for people to comment, to review the podcast, to come on as guests from far and wide.
Yeah. I mean, if there are any faculty members who listen to this and are kind of like, oh my God, like I really want to be on this. Like, should they reach out to you? Like, would that be?
Well, I think they could reach out to anyone at DMMB. I mean, yourself and Angela Hogan, obviously, are contacts that most of the faculty know. They could reach out to me. As this podcast goes along, we're going to have a couple of intro episodes that we sort of put out into the world and see what people think. And we'll be keeping a running list. I'm already keeping a running list of topics that we think will be interesting, that hopefully aren't just like the suckers who can't say no to me, but are topics that people say like, hey, it was okay. Like, let's talk about this, and find somebody who's either an expert or just willing to come on and chat about it and be real about it, which is really, I think, the goal.
And probably even pitching topics if someone doesn't want to necessarily be on or interviewed, but is like, I would really like to hear about blank or XYZ. Maybe then that could provide some inspiration for you and be like, I know just the person to talk to about this.
Right. Two ideas that have just popped in my head in the last couple minutes are, wouldn't it be awesome to have a debate? Wouldn't it be great to have a debate between two faculty who I could really... Because doctors, like, come on, you guys. Type A, totally, on our game. Like, we think we're right? Like, let's get these people on.
I feel like totally different opinions. Debaters. I really need to put a clear distinction between those two words. Master debaters.
But then the other one is we've got to get some students on.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the most successful faculty development sessions I felt that I've provided is when I brought a student with me talking about generational differences, the millennial learner, things like that. And so I've given that talk a couple of times, but it was really a game changer when I brought the student with me, and that perspective was so valued by faculty.
I can imagine. I mean, pretty soon we'll have Gen Z coming up the pike too.
Okay, yeah.
Already. I mean, I'm a millennial, and there's already a huge difference between me and the Generation Z kids who somehow are teenagers at this point, which just
like I'm a pediatrician, and then I see the birth dates of teenagers, I'm like, oh, okay, because like all of my patients now, right, have been born in the 2000s.
Yeah, when I see someone who was born in 2000, I'm like, oh, they should be 8 years old.
Right.
False.
So it's just offensive,
False.
really.
Yeah, no. They're like almost 20, which is terrifying to me. But anyways, time is scary. But moving on to kind of more interesting things. You mentioned faculty being able to get credit from listening to the podcast. How would that work?
So we're at the mercy, of course, of having our continuing medical credits. Like, we get them when we go to conferences, right? And we get them when we go to sessions. And we can get them now actually for professional and personal development and reading journal articles and being part of statement writing and things like that. And so we're working towards having this podcast be... Well, first of all, you can get the credits for the fact that it's a faculty development podcast. And so just like a journal article, you would fill out the credits like that. Okay. But if it takes off and we're working towards building more and more podcasts, what we would like to do is link the electronic ability of, okay, you listen to it, click here, and it just gets uploaded to your maintenance of certification.
Very cool.
Yes. Time saving, efficiency.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the go credits, basically.
Right. While you're on the treadmill.
Yes.
While you're cooking.
Grocery shopping.
While you're driving from the valley.
Yes. Yeah. The ways in which you can listen to podcasts, or the places you can listen to podcasts, are endless.
Yeah. Which is really nice. While you're on a plane.
Oh,
that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to talk to the person beside you.
On the bus in the morning.
I'm actually really friendly. I like talking. They say you should always talk to the person beside you, that's like the world's becoming a dark place because you don't socialize with random people.
Really?
Right. Which isn't part of the pitch for a podcast. But
no. Please don't socialize with other people. Yeah. Please listen to the podcast.
Don't talk to others. Don't integrate. It's bad. No, just joking.
So in terms of topics, what if faculty don't like the topics that you pick? Have you,
Okay, so we can also tell if you shut us off. No. Well,
we
actually, I think we can.
All. Yeah, probably.
Well, don't worry. It's not a Big Brother situation. It's more or less like there's going to be topics, obviously, that interest you and ones that don't. But the goal here is to have something for everyone. And just like any other podcast, these will be uploaded to iTunes, SoundCloud, the usual mediums by which you would consume your podcasts. And you can write reviews and you can write comments.
Please do.
Please do, in fact, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm also type A, I will be getting to a point where I'm like, how many reviews do I have? How many?
And I'll be checking meticulously for you.
And so we just want to get your feedback. So if there are topics that you want to talk about, then we're open all the time. And people that you might want to hear about.
Yes.
Or people that want to come on. And maybe we could even do like anonymous podcasts because maybe people want to talk about something touchy. I don't know.
I kind of like that. It's like a mystery
the ghost
box.
See? Full circle.
Oh
the
my
ghost.
God. Look, we didn't
the host, the ghost.
We did not even plan this. Truly. Have a camera in here, you would see that there is no script.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. How often should we expect podcasts to come out once we get these off the ground?
Well, I think the plan will be to do about one a month and then allow them to sort of come out once a month and be available. I think that if there's good uptake or lots of topics and an appetite for it, then we could do more. It's just a matter of putting out these first couple and seeing what kind of response we get. And that's up to listeners and some of the people that we volunteer to listen and give us feedback on. So I think at the end of the day, we're just hoping to see if this is a new way or a different way or another way to never replace, but just complement the sort of repertoire of our faculty development office, trying to offer new topics to you folks, which is the faculty of DMMB. And I think it's super exciting because FYI, there is nothing like this out there in like North America. So the people who want to prove me wrong are Googling this immediately. And I would tell you that there's been some feeler podcasts out there, it looks like some videos. And then the Royal College has a faculty development podcast, apparently. But I think this is the first one that really has that back and forth, meant to be fairly relaxed, transparent podcast that hopefully has many of you as a guest.
Absolutely. Awesome. Anything else you'd like to kind of add to this episode 1.0, if you will?
I don't think so. Please listen. Please review. Please give us feedback. And thank you very much, Alex, for being my first ghost.
It was my pleasure and
supporter.
More. Yes, for being
the podcast.
A host. I will add that title to my signature from now on so you all know who I am.
Thanks again and have a good day, everybody.